I could have everyone mute, please. Good afternoon. This meeting is being held in pursuant to Executive Order N-2920 issued by California Governor Gavin Newsom on March 12, 2020. Any and all members of the board may attend the meeting by phone. Members of the public may attend here at the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District Central Office to observe and provide public comment during the meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Makagba?
Here.
Here. Mr. Isom?
Here.
Ms. Patero?
Here.
Mr. Richardson?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Till? Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Thank you. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You were muted, but I move approval.
I'll repeat it again. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? I have a motion by Board Member Smith. Do I have a second?
Board Member
Second by
Tilly.
Board Member Tilly. Roll call vote.
Ms. Makagba?
Aye.
Mrs. Honeychurch?
Aye.
Mr. Isom?
Aye.
Ms.
Aye.
Patero?
Aye.
Mr. Richardson?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Tilly?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Thank you, colleagues. Do we have any public comment on the special board meeting agenda?
Yes, we have one public speaker, Mr. Jack Flynn. Mr. Flynn, would you like to go to the?
Is there some technical difficulties or something? Do we
They're
know what's
setting
going
up
on?
the computers for the public comment.
Otherwise, we could have them just use one of yours, I guess, if you
They've
could.
already exited the boardroom.
Okay. So the technology team is setting up, is that what the situation is?
Correct.
I'm good, right? Okay. Good evening, Superintendent Corey, Board President Richardson, members of the governing board, and members of the community. My name is Jack Flynn, and I am a senior at Early College High School. I'm here tonight to express my opposition to the approval of Agenda Item 2A, which continues virtual meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. Earlier this year, in January and February 2020, I began getting involved as a student in the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District by attending governing board meetings and providing public comment. I was inspired to do so because at the time our district was at a crossroads regarding potentially reopening of FSUSD schools for in-person instruction. At the February 11th, 2021 meeting, the FSUSD governing board did just this by voting to reopen school sites for in-person instruction in the red tier. In voting to reopen school sites, the governing board set a significant precedent that providing most FSUSD services in person is a top priority for the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District. It is also important to note that at the time of the February 11th, 2021 vote, there were many uncertainties and instabilities in the FSUSD reopening plan. There was no clear message from our public health director about when teachers would get vaccines. There was great confusion as to when Solano County would reach the red tier. There was no distinct directive where a mask would be required for the fall semester. Despite all these flaws and concerns, the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District Governing Board voted to reopen school sites in the red tier. Furthermore, the conditions and circumstances of today's vote provide it more safe than the vote in February. In February, both Solano County and California had more COVID-19 cases. Vaccines were not readily available, and our district had not experienced the reopening plan. In comparison, Solano County in California has less COVID-19 cases than in February. Vaccines are easily accessible. Our district has experienced 6 months of in-person instruction, and our district now has a great wealth of knowledge in handling in-person services. Therefore, it seems that the answer to today's vote lies in fact. Compared to the February 11th, 2021 vote to reopen our school sites, the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District is better equipped and better prepared to hold meetings completely in person, while at the same time our community, both our school community, our local community, and our state community is safer from COVID-19. I would solemnly ask that the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District Governing Board vote no on this agenda item and set a meaningful precedent of leading by example. By leading by example, we are edifying our students, teachers, staff, and community members by showing that the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District stands with them in their struggles and in their lives. Thank you for your time and consideration.
There are no more public speakers.
Thank you, sir. We move to item 2, which is action 2A, review and potential approval to continue virtual governing board meetings under Assembly Bill number 361. Do I have a motion?
There are actually two motions. You can either do to return to in-person meetings, or you can make a motion to remain virtual. So
I move that we remain virtual.
All right, so we have a motion.
Second,
to-
Tilly.
All right, we have a motion to second. Any board discussion? One moment, colleagues.
All right.
All right. Board Member Wilson.
I'm leaning against the motion extending our electronic meetings because of the additional requirements we would be subject to. However, I think we should move in this direction, making participation by community members easier, but on our timeline, not in response to the state thrusting it on us. Therefore, I advocate that we study ways over the next 6 months for the community to, one, be better informed about the board's issues and deliberations, and two, have a more noticeable voice in the board's issues and deliberations. I think the community should feel that the board not only tolerates their input, but appreciates their input with more ways to make it known. I look forward to contributing my specific ideas on this, perhaps as the governance committee develops a proposal addressing this. But in the meantime, I support not extending the electronic participation waivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Wilson. Board Member Honeychurch.
I too will be opposing the continuation of virtual meetings. I believe it's most important that we come back to being in person for our meetings. I think the meetings will flow better. They will have, the public will be able to attend and make comments. And I think it's time to move back to having in-person meetings.
Thank you, Board Member Honeychurch. Board Member Smith.
I also am going to oppose the motion. I believe that there are plenty of safety protocols that we have in place. And I also don't see how it would be right of me to say that students and staff need to be back to in-person activities, and yet it is too unsafe for us as a governing board to take part in in-person meetings.
Thank you, Board Member Smith. Board Member Patero.
Thank you. I would concur with our last three colleagues in opposing the first resolution. Because for what they said, in addition to the fact that California, as of yesterday, we have the lowest rates of COVID in the entire country, and Solano County has the lowest rates of COVID in our state. So I think that, coupled with the fact that we're all vaccinated, it seems to be the majority of us are vaccinated, and the fact that everybody else is in school. So I think we should also lead by example and respond and return. So I would also oppose this resolution. I do have a point of information, though, based on what Board Member Craig said. Were you suggesting an amendment to study this for 6 months? Is that what your question was? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Wilson? That was just a question.
I wasn't paying close enough attention to respond. I wasn't prepared to.
Board Member Patero, I can answer that. He was suggesting studying other ways for our community to be involved in public comment.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Board Member Tilly.
Thank you. I support the motion because of the flexibility, but I am horrified with the idea of claiming that somehow it's unsafe for the board to gather directly together while our learning community is mandated to come together. So I see the issue with that. I do not believe for a second that our community has been disabled from participating in meetings. They've certainly come to speak at public comment. And I also believe that if the technology were available, that they could have easily joined in public comment in the online environment. We have had significant problems with our technology, the echo, and all of that. So I can see that it doesn't feel as effective. I really appreciate the flexibility. Unfortunately, Solano County has the worst numbers for COVID in the 9 Bay Area counties, and it's the only county that has not gone back into mask mandates in indoor spaces and outdoor spaces. So our county is unique in that respect. My preference is to retain the flexibility. I can see clearly that that is not the sense of our board, and I will honor whatever happens with the board on that. But I don't believe for a second that we are any safer now than we were in February, as one of the public comment speakers said. In fact, our rates, if we were where we were then, we wouldn't have been able to reopen our schools. So I favor the ongoing flexibility, but it looks like I'm going to be outvoted.
Thank you, Board Member Tilly. I see no other hand for discussion. Roll call vote on the motion to move to approve holding electronic meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. Roll call vote, please.
No. Ms. Honeychurch,
No.
Mr. Isom,
Yes.
Ms. Patero,
No.
Nay.
Ms. Tilly,
Yes.
and Mr. Wilson.
Nay.
That motion
Mr. Ch-
fails.
Mr. President, I have a quick question for clarification from our superintendent. Is it still possible, even though this motion has failed regarding forcibly coming back into the meetings and not continuing to be virtual, are we still able to be remote?
Yes, we just have to follow those guidelines from the past of the Brown Act where you put your location as to where you will be, you post it, you have your door open. So yes, it's still
Excellent.
possible.
Great, thank you.
May I have a motion to move to approve return to in-person meetings?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member
Second.
Smith, second by Board Member Honeychurch. Any board discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. McCogba,
Aye.
Ms. Honeychurch,
Aye.
Mr. Isom,
No.
Ms. Patero,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Tilly,
No.
and Mr. Wilson.
I hope the motion means starting October 1st. I vote yes.
That motion passes. We will adjourn the September 23rd, 2021 special governing board meeting. At this time, meeting is adjourned.